So I am Sylvia Miller Bichanga. My maiden name is Miller, which you find is a Amish name. If you hear someone's a Miller, most likely they are Amish or Mennonite. I live here in Kenya for between 5 to 6 years now, and I'm originally born and raised in an Amish community in Ohio. But now I'm married to a Kenyan man here in Kisumu.
Now, what religion are you now since you're married to?
That's a good question.
Yes.
So the religion I'm now, I would say we are Christians.
Yes.
We have a lot of the Mennonite beliefs and some of the Amish that we still hold for ourselves, but since I'm not with the mission here that I came with, although I've always went to their churches here, and at some point I was even a member of their churches here, I don't agree with some of the, it's too much like colonization for my liking. So we just attend the church, but we are not members there. Because I do enjoy their preaching, how they preach the word, and how their services are. I enjoy that. So we just attend as visitors. But we hope if we ever go to the US, we'll find a Mennonite church that more fits the way we believe. But as far as following their rules and all that, we don't. The only thing I usually do is have something on my head.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is your husband a Mennonite?
He was a member at one of the churches here in Kenya at one point, yes. After we met, before we got married. And then, but then he was excommunicated.
Yeah.
Okay, so before we got married, he was already excommunicated because I wasn't a member. By then, already I wasn't a member in the Mennonite churches, but he was. So we were not following all their rules for dating. So he was randomly excommunicated. So since then we have not gone back to become members again, since I was already out of the church when I came back to get married, and then shortly after he was excommunicated. So we just decided, because of our beliefs not totally aligning, we are just Christians, but we attend their church as visitors but not members. If you attend as a visitor, you're not obligated to follow any of their rules.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so we attend their church and we try to be respectful with the way we dress and everything, but we are not part of their church. Having experienced Amish culture and also non-Amish culture, I see the benefits of being raised Amish and the values and morals that it gave me being raised that way. I'm glad I didn't stay that way. I'm thankful to be in the outside world and learning every day about new places and new cultures, because if I would have never left, I would have never came to Kenya and ultimately never met my husband. So I'm thankful for being able to get out and learn and inform myself what I was not taught when I was in that enclosed place. Okay, Amish and Mennonites are kind of like a cousin religion. Amish being more conservative, having more rules and being more, there are more restrictions than the Mennonites. For example, Amish can, they are not allowed to have electricity or cars. Mennonites, they have electricity and cars. But dressing is somehow a little bit the same. Again, Amish is more restrictive, Mennonite not so much, but the dressing is still a lot the same. Those are the major differences. Their beliefs, as far as religious beliefs, are more aligned, the same. Yeah. I don't know that I know the deep history about them, really. I only know that way back they were like coming from Germany, Switzerland, those places, because of wanting religious freedom in the United States. That is what forced them into the US. So then they started their cultural practices there in the US, and they really held tight to customs and things like that, that they had cultural things. When the rest of the world evolved, they were very strict to keep their culture and beliefs.
Do they have tribes or subgroups? Amish?
Yes.
Uh-huh.
Amongst just the label Amish, there's probably 8 or 10 different kinds of Amish. And sometimes it even varies which state you're in. You have the Pennsylvania Amish, the Ohio Amish. But basically, they all kind of believe the same thing, but the more stricter churches have more rules.
Okay.
But they all kind of believe the same thing.
Okay.
Yeah.
So is it like a religion or a lifestyle?
That's a good question.
Yeah.
It's a culture with a Christian religion. Their religion would be Christian, the way they believe. However, the culture is intertwined with it. They believe like Christians, especially the Mennonites. The Amish, not quite as much. Amish are a little bit, again, more conservative when it comes to even reading the Bible. They don't encourage their church members to read the Bible. There's different groups of Amish as well.
Yeah.
You have like so many different types of Amish,
Yeah.
but some of the more conservative ones, they don't encourage their church members to read the Bible. As in Mennonites, they're not that way at all. But both of them, their beliefs would be Christian.
Okay.
Yeah. But then also, like I said, their rules go hand in hand. Like if you're part of their church, then being separate from the world is what the big thing is for them. They don't want to be like the world, so like in Amish culture, that means the men need to wear a hat when they go out, the women need to dress a certain way. So it's directly parallel with their religion is their rules and everything as well. Mostly Amish will live in Ohio, Pennsylvania, Kentucky, Missouri, honestly so many states. Probably almost in every state.
In America?
Yeah.
Okay.
You might find some places like Ohio, Tennessee, Kentucky, Pennsylvania, they are more populated with Amish, but you still find Amish almost in every state you go to, somewhere.
Yeah.
They speak Pennsylvania Dutch, which is a language that we are not really taught how to write it, but we speak it. It's when we write it, it's more like what we call a High German.
Okay.
But they call it Pennsylvania Dutch, and I know Dutch and German, they're not the same.
Yeah, they're different.
But yeah, they call it Pennsylvania Dutch.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm sure there are other Mennonites in other African countries, but not that I'm aware of. The only Mennonites I personally know are in Nakuru and Kisumu. There are some other type of Mennonites in Meru also. Mennonites in Kenya, they have a mission here in Kisumu, the one I was actually with when I first came. And then they also have a mission in Nakuru. So each mission has approximately 7-8 churches. Yeah. That is just where they started. First, I believe they started in Nakuru first. And then there was some interest through people who knew people that were interested in joining the Mennonites. And then when there was enough interest here, they also started a mission here in Kisumu. So those are the only 2 missions that they have here they've been here for over 30 years now. For the mission I was with, the Mennonites I was with, the ones from Kisumu and Nakuru, basically all they do is church planting. So they start different churches around Kisumu and Nakuru. Yeah.
Is Amish religion different from Christianity?
Amish religion?
Yeah.
No, I would say their religion is Christian, but their practices are the Amish
Different.
culture. Yeah.
Okay.
What Amish teach about God is largely just follow what we teach you. Then you'll most probably make it to heaven. They teach that one should not read the Bible too much, because that's for the pastors to tell you. You can't have that assurance that I'm saved and I'm going to heaven, but you just work hard in their rules, their life. They try to earn their salvation. So Things they teach about God, I can say very little. They teach more about their church rules and what you should obey and what you should be doing. Yeah. But they do tell like the Old Testament stories, and like they do read the Bible. But now as far as teaching it, as far as teaching the Bible, it's more their rules. Yeah. Non-Amish can join the Amish church. So some of the procedures for joining the Amish religion would be you have to dress like them, and then you have to go through their instruction class, which means that you have to meet with the pastors and the bishop every Sunday as they go through a book and they teach you all their beliefs. At the end of that class, which usually lasts a few months, then you get baptized. So they set a date for your baptism, and yeah, then you kneel in front of the church. The deacon holds a bowl of water and the bishop scoops water on your head 3 times for the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Then you're baptized and you're a member of their church, and then they will greet you with a holy kiss because you're now part of them. The only way you can leave that church and the promise that you made is through excommunication. And another part I didn't say about the Amish church and also Mennonite is that on Sunday mornings they greet each other with the holy kiss, which means that the women, they shake each other's hands, and then for the Amish they kiss on their lips. Just women to women, men to men, yeah. So like the men will stand out in the morning before church. Everyone stands in a circle because everyone comes 30 minutes before church starts. They're very timely. So the men are all standing in a circle. So if you're the new one joining the circle, you start at one side, greeting, kissing, greeting, kissing. Some, they just rub the cheek like this, but some they kiss on their lips. Yeah. Then the ladies, when they're waiting in the house for the men to come in and start the church, they're also all greeting each other. But if you're not a member, they'll just greet you like this. Yeah. When you're shunned or excommunicated, it depends largely on if you're a church member or not. Usually people join church and get baptized at 18 years of age. Baptism and church membership go together. So after you're baptized into the church, it's like you're married to the church. So if you go to leave the church, they'll excommunicate you. But I believe if you're, and I'm not quite sure on this, but I believe if it's before you're a church member, you're shunned. But it's kind of more of the same thing. Like for my family, when we left the Amish, our whole family was excommunicated. Even though as children were not yet members, my parents were members, and because they left the church, we were shunned by the church, which means on a Sunday after church they'll have a members meeting where all the children leave. If you're not a member, you leave. It's only members, men and women. Then the pastors will talk like this couple is planning on leaving the church, and this is what they're doing. It goes against what we believe. Are we all unified that we should excommunicate them? Most times no one speaks up against it. So you are put out to the devil. That is what excommunication means, is they put you out to the devil to repent. So the consequences of being excommunicated is that they won't eat with you, they won't invite you to their house. If you are having family time on Christmas, you'll be the only one that's not invited. If you do show up to like maybe weddings or funerals, they'll have a separate place for you to sit with the people that came that are not Amish. Maybe the driver that you always used to go to town, you wanted to invite him to your wedding, so they sit at a certain table. So now if your aunt left the Amish church, you sit her and her family with the drivers. Those people. Yeah. So I've sat at that table many times. Yes. If you're excommunicated and you want to be accepted back into the religion, you have to come before the church at a members meeting and go on your knees and confess your sins of like wanting to leave the church and doing things that were outside of their rules, and then they'll forgive you and accept you back into the membership. But most likely you'll have to go through instruction class again as they instruct you on their rules.
Okay.
Yeah. If you want to leave the community on voluntarily, it's the same. You'll be excommunicated. There's no difference as to the reason why
Either
you're
you
leaving.
want or you don't want.
Yeah, excommunication. They literally say that we are putting you out to the devil
Oh.
so that you learn to repent. And when you come back, a lot of communities, you are dead to them.
Oh.
Like, you can be here talking to me, I won't even recognize that you're saying anything. They just look the other way or walk away. You can try to give them something, like your mom has a birthday and you go back with a gift, she'll just look at you. She won't
They
receive
don't want
it.
to be associated with.
Yeah, they don't want anything to do with you after you're excommunicated. It's a very harsh treatment. They treat you like you're not there because in their minds you've already died. Okay, the way the Amish administration or culture is structured is that you have the bishop as the highest position in the church. He's the one who can basically make the decisions for things. Then you have a deacon underneath the bishop who is in charge of handling money, alms from the church fund to give to maybe families who are struggling financially, or if someone goes to the hospital, it would be the deacon's responsibility to go and visit them. And then you have the pastors who are basically there to have a sermon ready to preach on any given Sunday. So they're kind of the ones in charge, the church leaders. And then the dads are in charge of their homes, their families, and also school teachers are in charge of kids, as in they can give them discipline. I don't want to say beatings.
Yeah, discipline. Yeah.
They don't beat them, but they whip them.
Yeah.
Yeah. So they're allowed to do that in the schools. I got my share of them. Your role as an Amish woman is, first of all, you are the queen of your home. You care for your home. It's very rare to have house help unless you've just given birth. So you care for your home, you wash the clothes, you cook the food, you iron the clothes, you clean the house, and you take care of your children. Some they homeschool, so if you're a mother, you are also a school teacher because your kids are schooling at home. But most Amish kids go to private schools. They have their own private schools, but and then just being there for your husband. But as far as financial roles, they very rarely have any. They are taken care of by their husbands. Yes. Amish women deal with menstruation the same way as anyone else does. They wear pads. Yes. Or tampons. Some of the more conservative groups of Amish, they might outlaw something like wearing pads and you have to use rags. Yeah, but I was not a part of those conservative groups. But I've had that one. Okay. The roles of an Amish family are typically the man is the breadwinner of the family. He goes out and makes the money or runs his business. The lady takes care of the home and the children. The father also helps with disciplining the kids, but their everyday needs are mostly met by the mother. And then the kids' roles are usually to help, like with outside work, mowing the lawn and feeding the animals. Amish people often have a lot of animals because they use horses for their mode of transportation. So the kids take care of the animals, and then the older kids will start working in the dad's business around probably 14, 16 years of age. Yes. A typical day for an Amish person in the community, it depends which day it is and it depends what your occupation is, but let's say for a farmer, they'll wake up very early in the morning around 4 a.m. or sometimes even earlier, and they go out bringing the cows into the big barn that they have for milking. And some Amish communities, they milk by hand. Other Amish communities, they are allowed to have milkers to milk the cows like through the machines. And then the milk truck comes and picks up all their milk, and then he goes into the house and has breakfast with his family. Usually they would have like a few songs or maybe a small Bible reading after breakfast. Then the kids will go to school. Usually they'll have the smaller horses, we call them miniature ponies. They'll hook them to their own small carriages and drive them to school, or they'll walk to school or use a bicycle. Some communities are not allowed to have bikes, others they are. So the kids go to school until around 3 p.m. Then they come home, and then it's time for evening chores. Mostly they have supper together, and then another prayer, going to bed. Yeah. The way Amish date is, once you reach, I believe it's 16 or 18, you're able to start dating. So usually a young man will ask your dad if he's allowed to start seeing you or dating you. So if the father approves, the dad then asks the daughter, Mr. So-and-so has asked if he can start courting you. What do you say? If she says yes, the dad again takes the answer to the boy, telling him she has agreed, I've agreed, you can start dating. Then they have usually volleyball games or softball games every, I think it's Friday night. And then that is when you'll see your boyfriend there and you get to socialize in that environment. And then usually he'll take you home with his horse and carriage afterwards. You get to talk, he'll drop you off at home, but he leaves. Then on Sundays, they again see each other in church. Usually he'll come and pick the girl from her house with his horse and carriage, drive together to church. Then after church, they usually have a time in the afternoon where the youth again hang out, playing volleyball or something. So again, they get to socialize in the afternoon, and then in the evenings, Sunday evenings, they go back to where there was church, and they have a hymn singing where all the youth sit in long tables opposite from each other. So the boys line in and sit down, so then the girls arrange themselves so that they are sitting in front of their boyfriend. So you sit in front of your boyfriend while you sing for a good hour and a half. So after the singing is over, it's now when they have their official date. So by then it's dark, your boyfriend is telling you, my carriage has this blue light here, this red light there, watch for this. So then he'll pull up to the house, the porch. The girls come into the buggy, he drives them home. Then he goes now into the house. And some parents are more strict than others. Some couples, they sit in the living room and they talk. Other couples, they are allowed to go to the girl's bedroom. And usually they have like maybe a sofa or a couch or something, a little living room. And the girl will usually prepare like a small snack. And then they're allowed to sit and talk until 12, like midnight. And then that's the curfew. The boy has to be out by midnight. Yeah. So that's dating in the Amish world.
No, like sexual activities before marriage?
It's very uncommon.
But it's there.
Sometimes.
Secretly, yeah.
Sometimes. I can say maybe 10% it's there. But majority, no. Like, and that carries over to Mennonites as well. They don't have, it's very, very rare to have a child before you're married. Okay, when you're Amish and you want to date multiple boyfriends, it's not accepted unless you've ended the previous relationship.
So you have to end the previous one first.
If you don't want him, then you end it, then you move on. But having Jack and Stephen both, no. Yeah.
Why is it that the dad has to like, you have to approach the dad of the daughter first so that you date their daughter?
The dad is approached first in dating with the Amish because he's the he's the authority in a girl's life before the husband. So the husband is negotiating with the dad to be her authority or her head. So you have to consult the head about taking his place.
Do boys consult their dads before starting marriage?
Most they do, but you find that from the time they're 16, they are allowed to join the youth.
Okay.
So already they've been going to the volleyball games and all that, so they get to know each other there. So most likely the girl has a clue that the guy is interested in her.
Okay.
But as far as coming to her home and spending time there with her, it's no.
It's not allowed.
Until you ask the dad.
Okay.
Yes.
So at what, okay, you said it's age 16 to 18, that is when you're allowed to start dating.
Yes.
And marriage?
16, okay, age 16 they start going with the youth group, with the Friday night and Sunday night activities.
Yes.
Then age 18 you're now allowed to start courting, like dating.
Okay.
Yeah. But they are not allowed, as a dating couple, they're not allowed to travel outside the community without chaperones. So let's say you want to go on a trip, on a road trip, you want to go to Nairobi.
Yeah.
If you're dating Sam, you and Sam cannot go to Nairobi alone. Another married couple has to go with you. So then you'll sleep with her, he sleeps with him. So you don't really have that scenario where there's a timba, maro in the bed, this, that. The Amish weddings are done as a community effort, whereby they're usually done on a Saturday, and they're very structured and organized events. You all go to church in the morning. After preaching for around 2 hours, you get married, and then I think there's more church service after that. In total it's about 3 or 4 hour service where you get married. And they don't decorate where they are getting married. They don't do anything the way that the world does their weddings. You just sit in plain chairs in front of the pastors, because usually one church will have many pastors. Even they can have 7 pastors and 1 bishop. So the pastors sit up front, and then the married couple is allowed to have 2 couples to witness. So they sit on either side. The girls usually wear like same color dresses, and they just walk into the church service with everyone else, and they sit down. When the message and singing is over with, they go up, the pastor marries them, putting their hands together, they are married. They don't kiss. Usually they don't even smile.
Why?
They don't show emotions. Amish people often don't show any emotions, whether laughing or crying.
Why?
It's their culture.
It's their culture.
So even when you're getting married, you're just there saying, I do. Yes, I do. And the ladies always, they just look down, because they've never been taught about public speaking. You've never been in front of a group of people before. So you feel very self-conscious. So after they say their vows, no one claps, no one does anything. They just go and they walk outside. The rest, they sing a closing song. Then everyone moves to the reception. And Amish people have church in their homes. They don't have a church house. So your home has to be big enough to accommodate the whole community. So they usually, Amish homes are very large and spacious, or they have an outdoor building that's very large and spacious. So generally weddings are held at the girl's home. So usually the ceremony part will be in maybe a big living room area, and then the reception will be out in the barn, the big shop where maybe you can drive your buggies and tractors inside and store them out of the weather. So they clear everything out, set up tables, and then for the reception now they decorate. They have like flowers on the tables. Some communities, they're not allowed to have real flowers, they have to have fake flowers. There's all these little rules, but they usually decorate everything well. Then they have a special table in the corner of the building that they call the ek. The ek is like, it means corner in our mother tongue. So they decorate it very fancy, and they have like special food different from everyone else, with their witnesses on either side. And then everyone sits at the tables. Then the whole youth group that they've just left, the youth group, and got married. So all the youth are coupled up, boys with girls, and you serve the food to everyone.
Okay.
So each couple is assigned a table. So they bring like 2 bowls. The boy brings a bowl of potatoes, the girl brings a bowl of potatoes. You give it to the first person. You serve yourself and pass the bowl like this. So they usually have a huge menu. They have like chicken, they have mashed potatoes, salads, desserts, ice cream, cookies, candy. Like the list is unending. They really go all out.
Wedding cakes?
Yes, they have a wedding cake, usually made by someone in the community that specializes in decorating cakes. Yes. So after everyone has eaten, they leave basically. They might pray. They usually pray before they eat and after they eat. So after the prayer, everyone is free to go home. But for the youth, they'll hang out and maybe do some singing. Some might go play a game. They have like ice drinks, like not alcohol but fruit ice drinks, and then in the evening they'll come back and have another meal, now just the youth. Yeah, and then at the end of the night, it probably ends around 9 or 10 p.m. Then everyone goes home.
And the couple?
The couple go to their own home. Yes.
So that, how is the wedding night for the couple?
The wedding night for the couple is probably very awkward, because they've never held hands, most of them. They've never even kissed. They have a policy when you're dating, they say hands-off courtship. That is what the Amish call it, whereby you don't touch him, he doesn't touch you. Whether it's holding hands, a hug, nothing. Yes. So I'm guessing the first night is very awkward.
It's very awkward.
Yeah, you go from 0 to 100 very quickly. So for the Amish, there's no dowry. In fact, the lady's family is the one who caters for the whole wedding.
Why is it that way?
I don't know why it's that way, but usually the husband's family might pitch in a little bit with a little bit of food or something for the evening before. But for the food, the decorations, the everything, that's on the girl's dad. And I think the trust that they have amongst themselves in their communities, they only expect the husband to treat the wife like they treated her as a daughter, like treating her well. Yeah, because they have big trust in their communities. Like in the community I lived with, I could trust anyone with my wallet, my phone, anything. I can give them my bank account number. Like the trust that we have is something that has been hard for me to readjust in the outside world. As for an Amish marrying within the family, no. Full stop. You find some marry maybe their second cousin, but marrying like a sibling or a first cousin, no. The closest I've ever had is marrying their second cousin. When it comes to an Amish person wanting to marry a non-Amish person, if you're a member of the church, it won't be allowed. If you're not yet a member and you decide to go out and marry someone that's not with your church, your parents will make a big fuss about it and make sure that you know they don't accept it and they don't like it. But at the end of the day, there's no punishment they can put on you because you're not yet a member of the church. So if you're not baptized into that church, you'll just go out, marry who you want, come back. Your parents might not accept him for the first 5-10 years, but they'll get over it. And yeah. So how you can tell that an Amish man or woman is married is that the man usually will have a longer beard when he's married, And for the women, when they go to church, the married ladies wear white caps, and the unmarried women, they wear black caps.
Okay.
Yeah. No, you cannot divorce your partner unless it's a case whereby maybe you're being physically abused. Then you can separate, but you cannot remarry or date or anything
Ever.
until the partner dies.
What's the process of separation?
There's no legal process.
Okay.
You just, if it's to a point where you're being physically attacked or abused by your partner, you just go and live a separate life. Your family will most likely help you, and you'll just go your separate ways. But being engaged with another partner is forbidden. They will say that if you're married and you're separated and you start seeing someone else, you are committing adultery.
Okay.
Yeah. If you commit adultery while in a marriage, and you're a member of the Amish church,
Yes.
you'll be excommunicated and shunned.
Okay.
Yes.
By the community,
By the church.
by the church.
Yes.
So you are not allowed to divorce. What if you realize you choose the wrong person?
Okay, as an Amish, if you realize you chose the wrong person, unless he's abusing you physically, emotionally not as much, sadly. Even if you're being abused emotionally, they don't recognize it as quickly as something like physical abuse. But if you just wake up and I'm with the wrong person, no. Go milk the cows and keep quiet. Yeah. Amish do not engage in polygamy. They're very strict in their marriages, and they don't condone divorce. Like, yeah, they're very strict with that. When a kid is born in the Amish community for a married lady, either she will pre-plan with like the local midwife, because most Amish communities have at least one midwife. So she can choose to have her come and have the baby at home, or she can choose to go to the local hospital and have the baby there. Yeah. If you give birth before you're married, you'll be excommunicated for sure if you were a member. If you're not a member, you'll just be looked down on kabisa. Yeah. But your mother will be your best friend.
Okay.
She'll be very angry with you, but she'll be there to help you, go to the hospital with you, bring you home. You'll be able to still live at home with your child, because in the Amish culture, moving out of your home before you're married is highly uncommon. You stay at home until you're married.
Okay.
Whether that's 18, 21, 25, you live at home until you're married. Then you move out. So most likely if she has a kid, she'll be at home, and it will be very difficult for her to get married, because the young boys will see her as used. If you have children before marriage, your wedding privileges are restricted. You're forced to be married immediately, and you don't get to have the normal Amish wedding. You don't have like the reception part. You just get married during a church service, and you're not allowed to have the celebration part. In the Amish, there's ladies that are barren. They don't have any children, or they're not able to get pregnant. They're just respected as something that is beyond their power. Amish don't have anything to do with politics. They shun all types of campaigning, voting, even for presidency. They don't. If they do, it's done under the water.
Yeah.
Chini kwa maji.
Umeingia, yani you already a Kenyan.
So you find within that culture, because of all the rules, a lot of things are done. I don't know the word, but you know, undercover.
Yeah,
yes.
for sure.
So if they do vote, that's when they do it. But I can say 98% don't. No. They don't vote.
They don't vote?
They don't vote.
Even
And
in like America,
presidential elections, nothing. They don't vote. They are completely, they see that as part of the world, so they completely shun it as far as campaigning, voting for your local whatever, even presidential, nothing. They don't involve themselves at all.
Is the government of US aware that there are some communities who doesn't vote?
I think so, yes.
Okay. So it's us.
If they do vote, there might be some men who vote, but you won't find out.
Okay.
Yeah. Things that are forbidden in the Amish culture are things like alcohol, tattoos, drugs, premarital sex, immodest clothing or bought clothing, and high-heeled shoes, makeup. Some communities, the girls are not allowed to cut their hair. What else?
Why
So
are they
many
not
things.
allowed? Is it for beauty?
No, it's for, there's a verse in the Bible that says like about a lady's head being covered.
Yeah.
Or it were better she was shorn. So they take it like you're not allowed to cut your hair. Like you need to let them grow longer. Yeah.
And
So that's what I mean when I say they're Christian, but their culture, they make it into almost their religion.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And men, why do they grow the long beards?
Again, they are not supposed to cut their hair. Yeah.
You have to.
They are not allowed to fly in aeroplanes. Unless it's an emergency where someone is dying and you have to fly to see them.
Okay.
Yeah. But most they don't travel a lot, because if you can't fly somewhere to travel, you won't be dying there, so they don't have to fly to come and see you.
Yeah. But I feel that culture is so peaceful.
It's
It's
very
peaceful, like
it's
not
peaceful,
much pressure.
but also very no, it's very sheltered. Like like you're protected in a world where if you step into the outside world, it can be overwhelming. Because if you imagine yourself, you're living in this compound. In here you have your school, you have your church, you have your whole family, you have your friends, you have your boyfriend.
So you always be surrounded with ups and downs.
With these people that are in here.
Yeah.
And everyone around you is doing the same thing. Everyone around you is dressing like you.
So you
everyone
know,
around you is not doing the bad things. So then when you step out and all of a sudden everything,
It's scary.
it's
What's
like a
happening
fish
here?
out of water. Like, what? So some things that are forbidden by the Amish culture or religious group would be, one of them would be the women are not allowed to cut their hair. According to a Bible verse that they have, that they back it up that a lady should not cut her hair.
Yes.
And also the men wear long beards. Not as much, I know some of them they are not allowed to cut them, but others they do cut them. But they say that a man should have a beard to distinguish him from the woman. Yeah.
Okay.
In terms of technology with Amish people, obviously they don't have any cars. They just use horses and carriages. They don't have laptops. They are not allowed to have phones. Some communities are allowed to have, I don't know if you know the old school home phones, where you have a home phone where you pick it up like a big with a cord and everything. So some communities are allowed to have that phone, but it has to be in an outside building.
Yeah.
It can't be in the house. So whether it's raining or snowing or whatever, when the phone rings, they have a very loud ringer. You can, even if you live 2 kilometers from your neighbor, you can hear when they are getting a call.
Okay.
Because it's a very loud ringer outside, so that when you're in the house, you can hear the phone is ringing.
Yeah.
So you have to keep slippers by the door, you run, and as you're running, then you miss the call. It's always very hectic, but that's the only source of communication most Amish communities have, is they have a phone outside. But some communities, I have cousins who they are not even allowed to have that. They have to hitch up the horse and carriage. They go to the neighbors, they ask to use the neighbor's phone. Maybe the neighbors are not Amish or Mennonite. They ask to use their phone, and then they call
Whoever they want to call.
yes.
Wow.
to not be like the world.
Okay.
If the world goes one way, they go the other way.
Yeah.
Yes, they wear plain clothes. They make most of their clothes. They don't buy them. Some of the more liberal Amish groups have started to buy some of their clothes, but especially the women, they make all their own clothes. Yeah. About alcohol and entertainment amongst the Amish, it's very much seen as something of the world and they shun it.
Yeah.
But for the ones who are in Rumspringa, that's their life. That's all they do is party and drink and live it up. They have a time for the young people that they call Rumspringa, where once you reach 18 years of age, you're allowed to leave and you're free to do whatever you want. All the fences are taken down. You can drink, you can smoke, you can get a tattoo, you can do drugs, you can drive a car, you can, like, everything you are not allowed to do up until that point, you're allowed to do.
Okay.
So then it's up to you to decide, do you want that life or do you want to come back?
Okay.
And you find, surprisingly enough, probably 90% or more come back, because they go out there, and when you've lived with fences all your life until 18, then they are taken down. You go out like a flopping fish out of water, and you don't know which way is up and down, and you actually feel lost because you are used to that community, that support, that family structure, and they really miss it and they go back. So usually after they come back, they might be 20, 21, then they settle down and get married and become members in the church.
Okay.
Yeah, they go both in clubs and in houses.
But the clubs are for non-Amish.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Do they keep animals or they buy meat?
No, most of them, they have their own meat. Yeah, most Amish farms, they specialize in milking cows. You find a lot of Amish, they're farmers as in milking cows, raising pigs. So they butcher their own meat and freeze it.
Okay.
Yes. Food that is common among Amish people is mashed potatoes. It's a lot like the Kikuyu food. I don't know the name of it. Yes. The potato and maize mixture. It's a lot like that, but without the maize, and they add like milk and butter to it with salt. Mashed potatoes is a big Amish dish, and then also a lot of meat. They eat a lot of chicken and beef, like nyama choma. Yeah. And they are also famous for their pies, fruit pies. It's a kind of dessert. Yes. The Amish way of schooling is basically every community has their own school, whereby they have curriculums from the state, approved by the state, but their teachers are Amish. Usually the youth girls, that is a job opportunity that they can have, since most of them don't go past 8th grade, which would be Form 4 in Kenya. They don't educate past that generally. So they don't go outside to get jobs. They find jobs within their community, because most family have a family-owned business.
Okay.
Yeah, so you can go and work at the bakery, you can go and be a school teacher. So our Amish youth girls are usually the school teachers.
So no university for Amish?
They don't go to university.
Okay.
Yes. Higher education than Form 4 is not encouraged, because they have jobs within their communities.
Okay.
So there's no need for higher education. Like when I was, I had not even graduated from like 8th grade.
Yes.
My dad was telling me, like, come and work from in my office. I need a secretary. So from Form 4 you have a job, so why continue educating when you can be making money?
Do you have like professionals, doctors, engineers?
No. For those things we look to the outside world.
Okay.
Like we do have some ladies that specialize in midwifery, where they come in and help you give birth at home.
Yeah.
But mostly when we are hurt, broken arms, bones, giving birth, most they go to the hospital.
Okay.
Yes.
Amish hospitals or the outside?
No, the outside hospitals.
Okay.
Yes. On a normal Sunday in Amish culture, they usually start the services at 9 a.m. and they usually sing for around an hour, and they sing only High German songs, of which most don't understand it because we speak Pennsylvania Dutch. But they only sing in High German, and I really wish I could find a recording of Amish people singing, because they sing a slow High German whereby one sentence can take them 5 minutes to sing it. Each word, each syllable is drawn out in a way where I can try doing a demonstration, but I don't even know what I'm saying. But they'll start one word like oh, that's like one syllable. Then the rest of the group joins in as they sing. And if you hear it, it sounds like a group of mourners or something. You can't make out the words they're singing. It's very unique. So they sing for about an hour. And then what next? They have a pastor give a mini sermon for like 30 minutes. And then after that, they'll do more singing. And then usually around that time, if you're the one hosting the church service at your house, you send a bowl of snacks for the ladies' side and for the men's side. So you have like biscuits and candies and those things, and then you pass it along and give them to your children, because the children get very tired because the services are very long, and they are not allowed to have soft seats. They have benches made of wood that are backless, so sitting there for 4 hours can be exhausting. So after that, they have the main message for maybe about an hour. And then after that, they'll have more singing, closing prayer, and then they have lunch, the whole church together every Sunday. And they have the same lunch every Sunday. It's the same menu. So they have bread, peanut butter, then they put a cold cut meat and a piece of cheese, and then they have tea and coffee, and pickled red beets, and they have cookies and pies. So it's the same meal every Sunday. And Amish just go to church every other Sunday. Every other Sunday. You have an in-between Sunday. If you go to church this Sunday, next Sunday will be your in-between Sunday, whereby you just stay at home. You don't go to church. And then the next Sunday again you go to church. Unless you have, like, okay, for example, in my community we had 4 districts. So if you wanted to go to church every Sunday, you go to the next district next to you. But for your district, you only have church every other Sunday. So we would go to church 2 times in a month. I didn't add that in the church services, all the singing and the preaching is in High German.
High German,
So you find that even though they're preaching to you, 80% you don't understand, because they're preaching in High German. Then at times they'll switch maybe to Pennsylvania Dutch. On rare occasion, they might switch and say something in English, which is highly it's not encouraged to speak in English, but sometimes to bring out their point in their story, they might say a few words in English or in our mother tongue, but majority of the sermon is spoken in the High German, which most of us, we know how to read it, but we don't really understand it that much.
So why do they use the language people don't understand?
Because it's what they came to America with, and it's one thing that has not changed. They kept that language as much as, okay, Pennsylvania Dutch is like a shang that has transpired over time.
Modernized.
Excuse me, exactly. But the High German is what they came with. And so they keep that for preaching.
Okay.
So you find if someone is ordained a pastor, most times he has to quickly learn how to read High German. We have classes in school, but most they're just like the side class.
Yeah.
You just learn it kidogo.
Okay.
In the Amish, when someone dies, they do take them to a non-Amish mortuary where they prepare the body,
Yes.
but then the body is brought to the undertaker of the community, an Amish man,
Yes.
where he has a buggy especially built for the casket.
Yes.
It's very long for the casket to slide in. So if someone dies, you have just the normal kind of like church service, but the casket is up front, and it's like a completely open casket. You can see the full body. There's no glass, nothing. And then everyone wears black, and we have usually 2 evenings where we have what we call viewings, where it's either in your home or where you would usually have your church service, where the body is there and people come and sit very, very quietly. People don't even talk, they whisper. And you sit there the whole evening until the family says that they're going to go to bed. Then the undertaker takes the body again and people go home. Family, they stay there to make food and do everything, and then you usually have that for 2 nights, the viewings, and then for the funeral day, yeah, it's just the normal church service, and everyone files past the casket.
Yes.
No one sings, no one talks. It's very, very silent. And it's very rare for people to cry out loud. They might shed a few tears, but showing a lot of emotion is commonly not there. Then after the service, they load the casket in the back of the buggy, and then the family's buggies come first, and then there's a whole line with everyone's horses and carriages, and they all follow the casket going to the community cemetery where the Amish have their people buried. It's not, there's no non-Amish there. It's just for their community. So you're buried facing east. They bury them facing east because that's the way Jesus is coming back, from the east. So they face them that way, towards the east, so that when Jesus comes, they're facing that way. Yeah, so they bury them there, and then the undertaker takes care of all the graves, making sure they're maintained. That's an Amish funeral. I think for what I can say, what I think Amish could change in or improve in is being more open to allowing people to have God as their director instead of the pastors and the bishop. I think that's the main problem I have, is the encouraging them not to read the Bible and wanting them to stay uninformed so that the pastors can be the God for them. That's the biggest problem I have with the Amish. Yeah. The future of Amish that I see is nothing is changing. They've been this way for hundreds of years. Like, they've held on to their culture like no one I've ever seen before, maybe the Maasai. But they've held on to their beliefs and their cultures. And I don't see them changing in any major way in the future going forward. Like most of the things I've told you, they're not specific to one Amish community, because every community is a little bit different. The bishop goes about the rules a little bit differently. So what I've told you is a general overview. It's not speaking just for one group of Amish. So guys, I am Sylvie Bichanga here today giving an interview with Miss Rechi. Thank you guys for having me here today. It was so fun talking about my upbringing and everything. If you guys want to hear more about my life, who I am, and my interracial marriage with my husband, feel free to go to my YouTube channel, Sylvia and Corey Bichanga. I think they'll have the link in the description in this video. and come join our family, and let me know in the comments on my channel what you want to see more of or hear more of. I'm in Instagram at Sylvia_Bichanga, and I'm also in Facebook at Sylvia Bichanga, so y'all can DM me anytime. So we'd love to have you subscribe and join our family, and let me know what you want to hear more about.
Cheers, bye.